Good morning. You guys are doing wow. Just got off of Twitch with the second brother. And there was a couple questions on pink and white nails. So I want to be able to address that right now. I'm going to be doing an acrylic pink and white sculpture nail. I want to be able to show you exactly what consistency to use. We'll go through all the fundamentals, prep, form application, actually body form application, and then white. So let's get right to this. Want to be able to do, oh wow, hold on for 2 seconds. This is, let me clean the lens. There we go, look at that. And look at this, we have audience here. I always have an audience. All right, so what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to prep this and get it ready for application. So for all of you guys that are just starting, what I do recommend is going through the process of pushing back the cuticle and then using your electric file to gently remove shine from the surface of the nail. I'm going to be removing shine from the nail using my arbor band, medium arbor band, and I want to be able to tickle around the corner, right? Start from one side and work to the other, right? So you can see I'm quickly feathering away the shine, right? So everything has to be taken off. You cannot allow basically any shiny spots. You want to be able to thoroughly remove it. And then what we're going to do is use swipe to come through and cleanse the surface of the nail. And then what that's going to do is set you up for protein bond application. Boom. So once you apply protein bond, and I'm going to get this on all 10 fingers, boom. Once I'm done doing all 10 fingers, then what I want to be able to do is come through and apply a second coat. That is prepped and ready to rock and roll. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go through the whole process of building out the body. I'm just going to go ahead and clear this out. But what I want to be able to explain to you is if we're working on the body, right? When we set the bead down to the back and everything starts running down towards the free edge, we don't want it to run towards the sides. We want this to run down the center of the nail so that the lowest part is going to meet here, right? We have 3 points, and we need to make sure that the smile line reaches that, okay? Now, in order for you to do that, you have to have the right consistency. And what I mean by that is it has to be a bead that is going to move from cuticle to free edge in, again, the least amount of you trying to force it into place. You have to have a consistency that's going to self-level. So a great way to practice, right, is on a blank nail. And let me show you, I have one right here. I'm just trying to find it. Do we have, Trace, can you do me a favor and see if there's tips inside that? Are there blank tips inside that drawer there? Long? Thank you. Thank you. All right, so like if you get the practice tips, the longer practice tips, what you can do, right, is you can practice trying to get it to move, right, from one point here to here in the least amount of effort. And what I mean by that is submerge your brush and then again, lightly tap. I need a bead that's going to be about half the size. So again, lightly tap, bounce, 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 bounce. You can see I'm going to get a pearl half the size. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, and then around the 5 count, I'm going to release. This is going to give me the opportunity to work around. Now look how everything starts to bow out. I need to lightly press the center and then start using the wedge of the brush to catch the run. And you can see even with the tip of the brush, right? This point, I'm literally just kind of jabbing back at it to prevent it from running not only past the nail, I need to make sure that I catch it from running past the free edge. I'm using the wedge of the brush again, to prevent it from running back, right? The temperature in here is quite cool. So what I need to do is I need to make sure that we are being patient, and I'm literally just kind of tucking everything back, right? And now everything is starting to set. So once everything starts to set, what we're going to be able to do is use kind of the wedge of the brush to tuck everything into perfection, right? And that's how you're going to be able, you can see how everything kind of runs down towards this center point, right? Towards that center point. That's what we want to be able to do here, okay? So one of the things, especially when the temperature is quite cool, you don't want a bead that is going to be too dry. And I feel that a lot of nail techs out there that are learning, what they end up doing is they end up pulling way too much liquid off, and then they hold it, right? They don't bounce, they just hold it. And then what they end up getting is that type of consistency, right? See that? See where it's all dry around the edge? Then, like, if you go to set something like this down, it's really crusty, so nothing is going to move. That is something that you don't want, because then you're going to have to really force it into place. It's very chalky. It's hard to maneuver, very hard to handle, and that's going to lead to a lot of issues, right? So what we want to be able to do is we have to pick a consistency that's going to be able to move. So what I'm going to do, I need something that's about half the size, and I need to be able to trust my brush to juggle this back. So if I submerge my brush, I get this quite wet. I'm going to bounce. Look, if it's cool, then lightly tap 1, 2, 3, 4, and then go ahead and press down. There's great consistency where I'm going to be able to work the product perfect around the edges. As everything moves, I'm going to tuck the corners in and then literally just hold the edges, wipe my brush, hold the edges. I have to literally be patient. So I'm holding the finger a little bit more flat while I'm really trying to concentrate on getting that smile line tight to one side, using the tip of the brush as well as the wedge of the brush to basically continuously push back so that it does not run past the nail, right? So you can see, right? So for some of you guys who are like, oh my gosh, it seems like it's taking forever. But look, at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is we're trying to prevent it from running off the nail. And I need to keep the thickness nice and even from one side. For those of you guys that are practicing on a practice hand, it's completely different than working on a regular person's finger. When you're working on a regular person's finger, you're dealing with body temperature, which is 98.6 degrees. When you're working on a hand, there's no body temperature. So bird's eye view, as you can see, if I'm looking at this bird's eye view, I'm trying to get my smile line as even as I can from side to side. If I need to use the body of the brush and slightly kind of move it from side to side to make this even, as you can see, I've been able to do that. Okay, so, do I have enough? So when you're looking down the body, right, you can see the thickness of the smile line is going to be even from one side to another. For those of you guys, again, if a lot of product has run down towards this area and you feel that it's quite shallow, you could always take a very small amount, right? So I'm submersing my brush. I'm just going to get a very, very shallow amount. If I had to come in, like I feel like that corner right there, I'm missing, and then I'm just going to kind of brush, right, just to kind of fill in a little bit of body, right? And to me, that's going to be perfect. Okay, so you could go through and literally build out all the nails, and then once you actually have that, then what you can do after you're done doing 10 nails, if you're super picky, is you can come back and you can file it into shape if you choose to make it perfect. But for those of you guys who are doing pink and white nails, this corner and this corner, This corner and this corner have to be the same thickness as this. You see that? Has to be. Cannot be too thin on the sides, or you're going to end up filing it way, way too shallow. Let's go ahead and get our form. Let's go ahead and place the tab. Let's go ahead and pre-pinch our tab, right? So for those of you guys that are going into more of a square, keep yourself a little bit of space, open up, and then basically come in. And then what you want to be able to do is at an angle, I'm going to use my hand and I'm going to slide this up so that it's nice and flush. Now we're going to be working with a really intense white. So if I'm working with speed white, right? If I'm working with speed white, what I need to do is I have to have the consistency so it's not going to run. The biggest mistake that a lot of beginners make when they're working with white is they do this. Let me show you. They don't understand that what you cannot do is you cannot go in your liquid and then pick it up, and then from here you're like, oh, that's great, and then you go ahead and you set it down, and then you're like, oh my gosh, and then you're like, you try to juggle it up, and then you try to juggle it up, and then it starts to run all over. That's a nightmare of a situation, right? Because you have a lot of liquid in the brush and you're able to pick it up, but when you set it down, you have to be able to get a clay-like consistency, and how you do that is by submersing your brush, by bouncing to get a really nice bead, and then watch. 1, 2, 3, right? You can see that looks like an orange peel on the surface, right? One more tap. Look at the difference now when I go ahead and set this down. Dude, that's crazy difference. It doesn't get away from me. It's a very slow roll. And this is going to allow me to work it into the shape that I want without getting away. That's huge. Okay. So if we are working on this hand here, what we want to be able to do is, let's just go for, again, active length. We're not going to go anything crazy. I'm going to submerge my brush. I'm going to bounce, 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 right? Get myself a nice bead. I'm going to Drano, 1, 2, 3. You can see again, orange peel type of texture. Lightly tap one more time. I'm going to set this to the front. I'm going to use the side of my brush to square this off, and then from the top of the bead, I'm walking from the top. What I am thinking is I need to get it up to that edge as fast as I can. Watch, from the top. From the top of the bead, I need to walk it as fast to the corner as I can. Once I have that built out, then I can focus on, okay, right? What am I gonna do to get this super even? If I'm going with active length nail and they're gonna be wanting a little bit more square, then all I would have to do is square off the shape of the nail and then use the body of the brush again to make it even from side to side. But I need to make sure that a majority of the thickness that I work, if you look at the side of the nail, right, I'm literally trying to get that white all the way up to that very, very corner, as you can see, to fill in that space. But you can see how the white is literally ramped all the way up to the top. My sidewalls are quite even, extending from the growth channel all the way out. It's like a ramp. And that's what we want to be able to do. I'm using the wedge of the brush just to kind of poke this into shape to make sure that we have this as even as we possibly can. The free edge cannot be, this area here cannot be lower than the pink. The white has to butt up to the pink. If you're looking at it right here, it looks like a ramp coming this way, and it looks like a ramp going up that way. Because most of the area that you're going to end up filing is right through there. Okay, that's how you're going to crush your pink and whites. Now we just have to let this sit. There's no choice. So going back to consistency, for those of you guys that are practicing, let me just go ahead and use this finger as a means to throw down. But what I would recommend doing for everybody that's starting is practice your overlays. So get a bead 1, 2, 3. Again, watch this. If it's too runny off the beginning, don't drain, just wait. Just wait. If I wait, like I'd say 5 seconds, and then I go ahead and set that down, what you're going to notice is the bead is really going to kind of self-level quite slow, almost to the point where if I use the tip of the brush and I just kind of lightly kind of pull from the top end, I can kind of guide it into the right position, right? Where most of the thickness is here in the front. Then, I'm always constantly wiping my brush to get it nice and tight on the front end. This is also going to give me the ability to tuck the product back as I am working, making sure the smile line is going to be absolutely perfect. Take your time. Don't try to rush this. What I would like for you guys to do is really trying to focus on getting the edges as even as you can from side to side. Boom, got that done. Now here, doing an overlay, right? Let's pretend we're doing just a slight overlay. And let's say that you had to fill just that really small amount of space. How would you manage that? What you would do is you would submerge your brush, and then again, I would get a smaller amount, right? A smaller amount. I would just lightly tap, and then what I would do is like this. I would literally just kind of scrape it off, and then use the tip of the brush to quickly poke it to the corner while it's quite wet. Boom, done. Now what I would do is I just let it sit. I've literally pushed it up to the edge. I'm gonna let this sit. You notice that nothing is running underneath. But once I scrape it off and then I get it to the edge, what I can do is get a consistency that's going to be really easy for me to kind of push up to the edge of the acrylic nail. Even if this is past, right, the pink, it's not going to matter at all. So for those of you guys who have clients, you're doing natural overlays and you're doing acrylic, this I don't have to worry about anything. I don't even have to go back and it's starting to set, as you can see, but honestly, I don't really have to press anything. I just leave it and then come back and file it. Once it dries, and it'll be absolutely perfect. All right, getting back to this nail, this is actually starting to set. Right, I just need to make sure that it's completely dry before we remove it. The body is dry, the free edge, and again, the temperature in the room is like 65 degrees, so everything is taking just a little bit more time to dry. I explained to all of you guys before, if you guys are doing pink and white nails, make sure there's 2 whites to work with. The whites you need to work with are either the speed white or the XXX white, okay? Those are the 2 whites you need to build French manicure nails with, okay? That's it. Don't use the slick pour bright whites. If you're doing whites, you want to be able to work with this. I need to make sure that this is off. If I decide that I want to come in and actually kind of pinch in the shape to make sure it's perfect, I can do that. It's going to be very difficult for you to pinch the body in here because the pink is already set, but you can see that I usually bring the width of the smile line a little bit farther out, right? That's why it's important to make sure that this is the same thickness from side to side. That way it gives you room to file in the sides when you're actually trying to do your shaping. If you end up building your corners too thin on the sides, when you end up filing it, you're gonna file shadows into the corners. And what that means is this. So let's say you build the body, boom, successful. You build your white, right up to the edge. If this area is too thin, if it's not the same thickness from side to side, what's gonna end up happening is you're gonna end up filing those corners away. Right? You're gonna end up filing away. You'll have a shadow. It'll be really light, or you'll end up filing the corners away and you won't see your corners. So you have to make sure from this point to this point all the way down, it has to be the same thickness, right? I have a bunch of videos online. I've showed even people how to do them. If you struggle doing it in one bead, you have to be able to do it in 2. Oh my gosh, I just dumped all my tips on the ground. Awesome. All right, let's go ahead and file this into perfection. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my hand file to get my edges straight. So you can see, again, I'm keeping contact with the sides, and what I'm able to do is get a straight ledge all the way to the side. Yesterday, we turned the hand to the side. I'm going to line it up at the lowest point. I'm going to file up and into the side so that my lower arches are absolutely straight. This still has a little bit of flexibility, so as we go in to make sure that we pinch, I can actually, you can see starting to set, and again, the only reason why I'm able to do this is because the temperature in here is really, really cool. All right, same thing here on this side. You can see that the lower arch is a little bit lower, so I'm going to start here, and then as I file up and straight, it'll eventually meet that corner and end up becoming a very, very straight sidewall. I can choose to square this off, or I could just lightly taper it, right? So that is done. Let's go ahead and file this into perfection. I'm going to take off that bit. We're not using a sanding band. We're going to be using a carbide, right? You could use this with a tornado bit. It's up to you. I'm going to turn my electric file up to about 11,000 RPMs. And then what we want to be able to do is, looking at the side structure, I need to be able to file, right? I'm not really concerned about having them absolutely perfect. I can come back and I could fix that at the very, very end. But you'll notice, like from the side profile, I need to take that lightly down. My focus is going to be my upper arch right through there, right? And then right through the front end, boom. And then you're going to notice as I file down through the body, as I do the C curve, right? Let me just kind of come through here to show you guys. As I'm filing the C curve into perfection, as I'm coming behind the smile line, right? You can look at how sharp that side ends up becoming. As I come through the body on this side in one direction, as you can see, look at how sharp it ends up becoming from side to side. Like, so for me, right, I'm able to get that as tight as I possibly can. I'm going to work around my corners. Look, my corners are still in play. My corners are still in play. I haven't filed my corners out. I'm literally going to take the excess off the front, right? And then what we can do is we could use our hand file to come in and just make sure that we have this thing absolutely dialed to perfection. All right, so I have everything pretty much in shape. I'm gonna use my hand file to come around the back end. I'm gonna be very careful here from the front end of the free edge. I'm going to file down to taper it. I'm going to use that pressure around the outside and then all the way through the body, right? Because most of the thickness is done. So for those of you guys that were in the shaping class yesterday, right, what we're trying to accomplish again is trying to file this in the least amount of effort. But you can see as we go through, right, looking down that profile, trying to get those smile lines as tight as we possibly can. All right, my arch all the way through. That's going to be done, right? I just need a little bit more, maybe filing around the edges. I can come through, I could use protein bond, but you can see my white is very, very clear. Like I don't have shadows. There's no marbleizing in the tip at all. It's super clean, and that's what we want to be able to accomplish if we're doing pink and white nails. All right, I hope that helped. If you guys have any questions, hit me up. For those of you guys that are working on actually building out your bodies to do pink and white nails, send me pics. Let me know if I can tell you if it's thick enough from side to side. Always here to help. I look forward to seeing those of you guys that are interested in actually taking the All About Acrylic class. Make sure to get a hold of Ray Bracamontes here at home office. They'll be able to get you guys info on February 7th. And then again, always here to help with all your educational needs. Let me know what I could do. Thank you guys. I really appreciate you. I love you much. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.